to come here and be understating. Ride my way, you right my mind, cause I've been giving you my time. Baby, I make iced tea and I make it where you lemons. Yeah, flaws and all, I'll be the one you run to. And I'll be for you and no one else. Tell me what you want, I'll be going in. Finally, and I make iced tea and I make it where you lemons. Yeah, yes. You know that really going mine. You know you really going mine. You know you really going mine. So let me help you squeeze. I know you wanting me. I know you wanting me. Yeah, you wanting baby. Ooh, raspberry, blueberry with your lemons. Raspberry, blueberry. Yeah, I said it's raspberry, blueberry with your lemons.
Lawrence, if you can hear me, put the virtual stuff on the screen.
Blueberry with your lemons. Blueberry. Yeah, I said this raspberry, blueberry with your lemon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ice, ice. You right, right. You taking flights. You know it's true. Damn. You know it's mine. Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright.
Hello?
If you thought I was disturbed before, baby boy, I'm gonna disturb you now. If you thought I was disturbed before, baby girl, I'm gonna disturb you now. Disturb you.
Sorry, three.
Disturb you.
The three chairs in the middle.
Disturb you. Disturb you. Give me shame, I give you peace from underneath. Give me mind and being light to reignite. Can you open up the doors to let me in? Can you open up the doors to let me in? You could put the heart inside. Don't talk.
Lawrence, picture in picture, please. Hello, Vito, can you hear me now? Lawrence, picture in picture. Jeez. Ifeanyi, can you hear me? Ifeanyi, can you hear me? Lawrence, check audio. Lawrence, audio. Okay, I can hear you now. Still, can you hear us? I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear.
Don't see that he's sitting. He can't sit.
Mr. President, I give
Hello?
What are you looking for? What are you looking for? Or one, just end the first floor.
Victor, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
If I obviously you cannot hear also.
I can hear you.
What's your feedback? What's the thing breaking up?
Control, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Ifeanyi. Lawrence. Can anybody hear me? Hello, Ifeanyi. Hello.
This question. Ask this question.
I understand what you're
Okay, brother. He says me, Hello? Can you hear me? The lady here. Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning, ma.
How are you?
Fine. Can you say security to your left? Okay, ma. Can you hear me too?
I can hear Mr. Scholar.
Okay.
To my left. So
Yes. That's what I was doing. No. You have to be frame.
I am.
Yeah. So if you okay, yeah, that's it. The year was three.
No,
No, three. This is as in time. Yes. No.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, Victor. Hello, Victor. Hello, Victor. Yeah. Good class. That guy don't did it already. See that guy, they moon and they go. Sharp. Victor, boss, he's me log in again. Talk.
Hello. Victor, are you there? Hello, Victor, are you there? Hello? Hello?
We know the air. You talk once. Big day. Now you talk. Now you hear.
hello. Can anyone hear me? Good morning, I can hear you, Motola. I think they're still setting up.
Oh, okay, good morning. Okay, great. Okay, I just have to be sure it's fine.
Zoom.
Come, Victor, talk. Victor, can you say something? Your audio is off, Victor.
Ṣé make you home in
Speaker now.
the year you It's okay, it's okay.
Hello, Victor. Hello. Victor, are you there? Hello. 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 No. Hello. Victor. Hello. I think we're ready. Hello. Hello. Victor. Where are you? Hello. 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 Hello.
Go do one part like that. Yo. What's money white on where did they far? We get one. But where it they far? We don't put them inside. I have so you try to find it. But now, since everything is details.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hi, Tim, we can hear you.
Oh.
I didn't know you were talking to us.
Where are you?
I'm fine, and we can hear you.
Oh.
No.
Hello. Can you hear us clearly?
Good morning, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you. So we can start. I know.
It's echoing. It is. Because I think the hall is empty. Good morning. Oh, good morning.
Oh.
Hello. Hi, Chineze. Hi. This is Lala. The hall is not empty. It is full.
Okay. Because it's echoed.
Yes, we are going to start in a few. We're just waiting for Moses and Mr. Victor Hyde to come down and Delphine. And then the panel, the session will start in earnest. Thank you so much for being on time. I'm sure you're in a different time zone, so thank you so much. Miss, hi ma'am.
Hi.
See me, I'm doing as if I can see them. I can't see. Nice to hear from you. The hall is just a few seats left, so we're waiting for the remaining panelists. Thank you guys so much for coming. We will start once our panelists are seated. They're not late, we're just waiting upstairs. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right, good morning, everyone. We're starting a little late. So this is the session where we're talking about the Oscars race, and we know that since the Oscars committee has been active in Nigeria, there have been many attempts, many controversies, many conversations around how to, be eligible, for the Oscars as a Nollywood filmmaker. This panel is going to handle and sort everything out, ask all your questions. I'm not on the panel, so I'm going to introduce the moderator of the panel, the beautiful, delectable presenter, red carpet host, Delphine Okoba. A round of applause for Delphine. Let's be warm, be active. I know all of you here are probably filmmakers, directors, producers. You want to know, what can I do? I want to win Oscar. Have your seat, ma'am. And I will let Delphine introduce her panel. You have two members of your panel online. They're here and they're ready. And then you introduce everybody else.
Hello, everyone. Good to see everybody. Excited to be here.
Okay, let's just get to it. Please, let's make welcome Moses Babatupe. Please welcome. Please make welcome Victor Okai. Sorry, welcome. And joining us via Zoom, Chineze Anyeni. And Omotola Jaradi. Pardon? Yes, you will see them. Okay, I want you to just quickly, I was asking them earlier in the green room how they would love me to introduce them, but I want them to introduce themselves. So, Mr. Moses.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Great to be here. My name is Moses Babatupe. I'm co-founder of the Film House Group, owners of... Thank you.
That's a big deal.
Thank you. Owners of Film House Cinemas and Film One Entertainment. I'm partners of that. Thank you.
Good stuff.
You people, let the substance that comes out of our mouths match this introduction. Anyway, it's great to be here. Looking forward to sharing insights and sharing knowledge with you all, and as well letting throughout the festival. Thank you.
Okay. Sir, Mr. Victor.
Good afternoon. My name is Victor Okai. I'm the National President of the Directors Guild of Nigeria.
We have some heavyweights here. And our panelists on Zoom. Hello, Ms. Chineze Ayeni. Could you please introduce yourself briefly? Hi, we can hear you. Hello.
Hi, how are you doing? My name is Chineze Ayeni. I am currently the chairperson for the Nigerian Oscar Selection Committee.
Amazing, right? We got the right people for the job. And joining us also on Zoom is Omotola Kende. Please, can you introduce yourself to us briefly? For those who don't know.
Hi everyone. My name is Omotola Jaladi Kende. I'm an actress and the CEO of Double Dose Studios. And also a voting member of the Oscars.
Come on. I told you guys we have some heavyweights. Okay, so we're just going to dive directly into it. No too much plenty English. We all know why we're here. There's been quite a race to the Oscars in the last couple of years. I don't know if you guys are familiar with 2019 drama. Yeah, you guys are aware of what happened in 2019 when the movie Lionheart was submitted and there was all that controversy about it. We're just going to talk briefly about the challenges we've had so far. First of all, the first question is this. We are the third largest industry in the world. Do you guys know that? Nollywood is the third largest industry in the world. Yes, we have no single Oscar nomination to boast of. We haven't even passed the submission process, talk less of a nomination. So let's talk about that. Why really is the issue that? I'm going to start with Mr. Victor.
Okay. First of all, I want to say this, and you're going to see it in action. If you're going for the Oscars, what you see beside me here, Rule 13, the text specs, these are the Bible. You must never be without it. And so, as I speak to you, we'll keep referring to it, because if you miss out on one, you miss out on everything. And that is the beginning of why we have problems with some of our submissions. People do not go, they don't read the rules again and again, they make assumptions. And so, your question again is,
why have we not been able to successfully submit?
That is not a fact. We have made submissions. Last year we had a submission. With Lionheart we also had a submission, but it had issues. And we learned.
That's why it's so successful.
No. Last year was successful. It may not have succeeded because so many are submitted across the world, but in the end, you probably shortlist only 10. Okay. These 10 get to the final of the finals, okay, and maybe a last 5 or something like that. So we have successfully submitted. But yes, with what you call it now. What's it, Lionheart? We had issues, we learned from it. Because of the language issue, the content we found out was not enough. So that didn't go through successfully. Yes, we had Igbo in it and all that, but it didn't meet the minimum requirement of 50% of the language. Okay? Last year, we succeeded with the entry for last year, and we'll talk as we go along and talk some more. So.
Okay. We know that last year, because of COVID, there were lots of submissions to not just the Oscars, but online streaming platforms. So there's this idea that people have that if your movie scales to Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime, then it's good enough internationally. I'm going to direct this question at Mr. Moses. What do you have to say about that? Because some of the movies I've been seeing on some of these streaming platforms, they're not up to par, if we're honest.
I think that it's not wrong to say some of the films that we've seen on the streaming platforms, even like some of them that have even been commissioned, are not Oscar worthy. But if you just go by the rules of the Oscar, of the Academy, the theatrical component is very, very fundamental. The film needs to be able to show in a cinema for at least 7 days commercially. What we had last year was an exception, right, because of the pandemic. I think that you will find that hopefully going into next year and the years beyond, it will be back to the rules of, the 7-day programming. And I think that the aspiration of any filmmaker, and I hope filmmakers are listening here, will be to make a film that is cinematically worthy. And I'm trying my best to also kind of like make a difference between, commercial filmmaking and making a film that is worthy of the big screen. I think, everything from the sound, the picture, the cinematography, all that kind of stuff have to be taken into consideration. And the Academy would look for that theatrical component. Of course, for it to show in your home territory, but also when they're evaluating it, for it to be able to stand toe-to-toe with all the other submissions that they get. If you look at the Oscar submission of the last 20 years, you will see a lot of all the films, the best picture films have, come out, in cinemas and, have had theatrical run.
All right, thank you so much. So I'm going to direct the next question at Ms. Chineze. The question is this. Since the rules of submission change every year, how can the NOSC help filmmakers with details of said rules?
Okay, first of all, every filmmaker who is interested in submitting to the Academy this to shoot with intention. Everything is online. Every year the Academy change, update their rules, and then we as a committee, we update that on. The most important thing for every filmmaker, I know that every filmmaker that wants to compete on the international stage must be ready and must be prepared. So what we do every year is that when we have submissions or when we call for entries, we send out our press releases and we put out the website and the link where they can see the requirements where they need to meet up. But the most important thing is that as a filmmaker, 101 of filmmaking says that you should know your audience. First of all, once you embark into a film, you make a decision if you're going to shoot for a particular audience or for a festival or for an award. So if you're going to go and shoot for the Academy, you should do your research, you should do your homework, you should go back and read up, check 20 years back and see what they've done. Go on the website, see what is different, and then you make up your mind. So I think going to compete for the Oscars is not it's something that people should take very seriously. So first of all, they need to go on the website, the Academy website online out here, and then go to the NOSC website, which is the nosc.org. And I'd like to also correct something which I don't know if Mr. Victor did. We had a successful submission last year.
Pardon? I didn't get that.
We successfully submitted a film last year, and the film.
Oh no! That was him correcting.
I corrected her.
Okay.
I corrected her. She said there was no submission.
No. I said it wasn't successful.
Yeah, so I corrected her.
Okay, so my next question is directed at. Okay, sorry. Are you done? Sorry. Ms. Chinese, are you done? Okay, thank you. So my next question is directed at Mrs. Omotola Jalade Kendi. I heard that we had 4 submissions this year and none of them scaled through. The question is why? What are we doing wrong and how can we improve?
Okay, hello everyone again. I think Chinese, the chairperson already said the most important thing, and that is shoot with intent. Unfortunately, most of the movies that were submitted this year didn't seem like they were shot intentionally with the aim to submit for the Oscars. The rules are there. They don't change their rules, unfortunately. I'm a voting member. We've had to have some arguments, even before the issue of the 50% vernacular or local language in movies. We had been sending a lot of letters to the Oscar board to tell them that Nigeria is an English-speaking country. Most people shoot their movies in English, except different sectors and stuff like that. And so it would be very limited and would not be open to most filmmakers if they had to shoot precisely for the Oscars. And that was exactly what they said. They said, well, they wouldn't be, changing the rules just for Nigeria. Nigeria would need to conform with the rules. And that's exactly what it is. So this year, either some did not meet that particular criteria, or sometimes they don't meet, for example, I think we had one of our movies that had like a trilogy or something of that nature. It has to be a feature film, and so many of them lead to hiccups here and there. But like the chairperson already said, if you are shooting a movie from the start, you have to determine and decide why you are shooting that movie. Is it just strictly for your local audience, or do you want this movie to travel? What that means is you want it to go to festivals, or do you want it to go as far as the Oscars? If you do want it to go that far, you have to adhere to the rules. It's a very, very competitive pool where the movies come to the voters. You can't say because this movie is from Nigeria, so I am going to vote for my Nigerian movie. You're going to vote for the ones that are best, and you're going to vote for the ones also that go with the rules. So, we really do want to, fight for our country, but we need to get it right. I think that's one of the biggest problems we had also this year. So we can't talk about this enough.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm just going to piggyback off of that. So knowing the rules regarding foreign language, I mean, other African countries who were colonized by the French or by Spaniards, they shoot in those languages and they're considered foreign language. But because we were colonized by the British, we speak English and we film in English. And that is a disadvantage towards us. But we have to be able to ascend above that, knowing fully what the rules are. Now I hear that Pidgin English is being accepted, you know, as a foreign language. How can we take advantage of that? The question is directed at Mr. Moses.
Thank you. I think when that, I don't know whether it was controversy, when that issue came up, there was a lot of intellectual debate here and there about it, but I think it presented an opportunity, you know, for us to be as authentic, you know, to storytelling, you know, to things that we're very comfortable with, you know. And I'd like to say, you know, you asked about why we've not been able to submit successfully. I'd like to say we need to also acknowledge the trajectory of our industry. You know, the challenges we've had over the years, the fact that technology has also liberated us to an extent, and that we're just attracting the right level of finance, you know, to get to where we are. I think that, you know, being able, with Pidgin being accepted as foreign language, creates a great opportunity for us. We've seen the right mix of Pidgin and our indigenous languages, Yoruba, Igbo, depicted very well in, you know, in various films that have been acknowledged to have done well commercially and also critically. I think where we need to work hard on is the technical aspects. And, you know, we're speaking to, you know, distinguished guests out here. It's about the Oscars. It's the highest form, the most elevated form of filmmaking as it comes to. It's serious business. It's something that has got to be deliberate. It's something that has got to be intentional. As you know, only one film will win Best Picture. Only one film would win, you know, Best International Film. So for us to be in that league of extraordinary filmmaking, we must be really intentional about, you know, our approach to it. And that doesn't mean you should dilute our style, you know, of filmmaking. It just means that whatever is required as contained in the rules, we must be ready to follow it. I believe that the NOC has a responsibility to ensure that that is communicated very clearly, but also we have a responsibility as filmmakers, you know, to ensure that we understand it. And like we just mentioned in wrapping, you know, we've seen films over the last 20 years. Just a quick research will tell you 9 of the 20 films have cost over $100 million in the US. A variety of films have also made Best Picture. Gladiator was a Best Picture. Argo was a Best Picture. So it's not necessarily, oh, the slow, the arty, you know, type films that make it. We've seen a variety of films that you can say we have the right stories and the right depth of stories, you know, to make it here. So I started with the Pidgin being an opportunity. I'm ending with that. I think that we should use it to the best of our ability, but infuse the technical specifications and components very well, and the talent abounds here.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Moses. So the next question will be directed at Mr. Victor. So we've been speaking a lot about foreign language film because that seems to be the barrier points to get in. What about other categories? Can't Nigerians submit for Best Picture, for instance? How does that work?
Okay, so just before I do that, because I think this is an opportunity to enlighten our members as well. So I just want to throw a little more light on an earlier question you asked. Omotala, for instance, had mentioned the film. There was a trilogy, and then they packaged it as one. We probably would have said, let us pick one of those, but none of them met the minimum cutoff. They must be at least 40 minutes. It's important for people here to know. So which means for a movie to qualify, it must be above 40 minutes, for instance, apart from the language component as well. Okay. So first, if you're talking about Best Picture, you have to get into the door first, which means you must qualify, you know, before you can be considered for any of the other prizes. But since it's an enlightenment forum as well, it's important to just say here, although that's not in our brief for the moment. I don't know if it will be tomorrow, if the chair can clarify, but I do know that there are other opportunities for us even as Nigerians. The student Oscars, the Oscar for shorts, documentaries, you know, so these are all opportunities that we can take advantage of course.
Okay, so we don't have to look directly only at the foreign language category.
No, well, that is a very good one. But I mean, there are other opportunities as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so let's.
I think I can just add, like, in terms of, if you look, a film like Parasite is a good example of you know, a film that broke through, you know, the glass ceiling from Korea. It would have to, I mean, like Dr. Victor has said, the first way through the door is, you know, qualifying for the international category, but to be in realistic contention for that, you are going to have to do a film that would, you know, secure some kind of international spotlight, and that would go through essentially the festival route. The film is seen to be special, will be picked up by an international body who have, believe it or not, it's the Oscars, but there's a lot of lobbying that goes on. There's a lot of, you know, real, you know, dollars that get spent to ensure that the right people see it, the right people review it, you know, the right people talk about it, you know, those things, you know, happen. And that's why when we also talk to filmmakers, it's important to mention, this is great, to see filmmakers in a festival in Africa, in Nigeria, in Lagos, you know, there's a very big value in also extending that to other parts of Africa, networking, where you can, you know, raise funds, also doing it internationally. That's where the value of that comes up, where you've done a great film, but it's seen by the right people, it's picked up, and then it then transports it to a different world. So it's very possible, chances a little slim. The best approach is to go through the category, as Doctor has said, but it's really possible.
Okay, that's amazing. I'm so glad you brought up Parasite. That movie blew my brain in 2019. Amazing. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. Okay, so let's dive into the meat of why we're here. We've been talking around it. Let's now open the Bible. What are these rules? What do we need to do to be able to say our film is ready for certain categories? I'm going to start with Ms. Chineze.
Okay, like Dr. Victor said, first of all, it has to be over 40 minutes. And that also includes animation and documentaries. So it mustn't just be like a drama or feature narrative. So you can have animations and documentary, and it must be produced outside of the United States and its territory. So don't go and shoot a film in America and you come and submit to us and then you reject and you're like, oh, but it's PG. And then you must also release in your home country, which is Nigeria, and then screen in the cinemas for at least 7 days. And also do your publicity like a normal theatrical publicity. Very, very important as well. And then you also have like technical specs. That's like 7 pages, which I can't discuss. But I'm sure that if you're shooting for the Oscars, you take the spec to your post-production department and then let them know what you need to deliver for everything. And it starts from your pre-production and your scripting. And I also like to mention something. I do understand that some people don't want to shoot foreign language films because they think it's not commercial. But we all watch Squid Games, and we all enjoyed Squid Games. It wasn't in English. Right, so like Moses said, you can, you know, shoot a film and it can be commercially viable as well. And then secondly, once you cross the NYC department, you have to, once you're picked by the NYC, you have to be very ready to have your publicists, your strategies, and get ready to, you know, love it. I think I'll leave that for Omotola because she's very experienced in that, so she's a good team member. Maybe she'll pick up from her because my one ends with a submission in Nigeria. So that's just some of the basic rules I would like you to know. And also one other important thing I would like to mention as well is most of the crew members and the cast must be largely citizens or residents of Nigeria. So don't go and hire DPs and your entire crew from the West and then come back and say that, oh, I passed all the rules, I have to submit. That will make you eligible as well. Mama, do you want to talk about the lobbying and the rules outside of submission, please?
Okay. So you've said most of what it is here, but when you now scale through and you come to the international, of course you're now competing with other movies from other countries. I think one thing I have noticed is that for every country, every movie that comes from a country, the government of that country is solidly behind them. And that's something that we need to begin to liaise with the Nigerian government, the NFC and the bodies that are in charge of our movies in Nigeria. I don't think they support movies enough. When they start to lobby, it is intense. Like, I get lobbied. Initially, when I first joined the academy, I didn't even think it was possible because it's one of the rules, you're not supposed to lobby members and stuff like that. But believe me, the lobbying is a lot, even from studios. So for every voting member, you get a lot of stuff from so many studios, and then countries, like the governments themselves are backing these movies. For example, we talked about Parasite. Parasite was heavily sponsored. I would say sponsored in terms of the shooting. I don't even know that, because I know it was a lady who sponsored that movie. But I'm talking about, the road to the Oscar itself, the country, the government of that country, probably their commission and everything were heavily involved, because you need, when you get to that point, actually, in LA, you need a lot of PR. Like, they actually go on billboards, TV. What you're trying to do is, you're trying to convince the voters, the voting members, to vote your movie. To be honest with you, we're supposed to watch at least 80 to 90% of every film that is submitted for the Oscars. It is not humanly possible. I'm going to tell you the truth. It is not humanly possible. They send us the movies physically, and then, we are also slotted in to go watch it in cinemas physically. How many would you watch? So most times for the voters, it is the movies that jump at them, I am sure, that they vote. It's the movies that they have seen that they vote. It is the movies that they know that they vote. So if your movie has not been very, very heavily advertised and it does not jump at them, most likely they would skip over it. And so when it comes to the international selection, imagine what we are already up against. First and foremost, you probably don't know us and all of that stuff. So when the movies come up, then the ones that are coming maybe from Germany, or now the ones that are more popular, people like, and what they tell you is someone like Alfonso, is their Koran is going to go and submit his film. So you're up against this kind of guys already are Oscar, favorites, or some guy from Korea. So you have to do the most to get, in front of the line, to get ahead of these guys. And the only way you can do that is promotion. It is intense. And no personal filmmaker can do this by themselves. So the Nigerian government needs to understand that this is like the Olympics. They take it that seriously. It's almost like when the Nigerian team is going to go and play, football or whatever. You see how the country, the government and everything, gets behind them. That's exactly the same way the Nigerian government needs to get behind the selection. It is one movie that is selected from every country. That movie is representing that country.
Thank you so much. So much insights. Thank you so much. Mr. Victor said he would like to share a personal experience.
Yes, I want to share a personal experience. A couple of, about 3-4 years ago or so, I think, Uzodin Maiwela, that's Okonjo Iweala's son, he's the one that wrote Beasts of No Nation. What's her name now? Funa Maduka. She's a Netflix executive, and myself. We did something called a documentary under 20 minutes, so it's a short. On the, what do you call it, the missing girls now.
Chibok girls.
The Chibok girls. And so, well, we started, I was like this neat little film. And then it started traveling, and before you know what was happening, we had made it to Sundance, and then we almost won Sundance. But you know, every festival there's a buzz. Sometimes it could just be that what is in tune at that point is they're looking for things that are like LGBT friendly or just whatever. I'm just giving as an example, but you know, a trending buzz. And so we just narrowly missed it at Sundance, but we won at an Oscar qualifying festival. That's something I need for you to know as well, because that's another route. There are film festivals that if you win, you automatically qualify, okay? And so you can then make your submissions. So we won at that festival, and then it was like suddenly, I mean, we traveled all around Sheffield, Dock, went to so many festivals all over the world. So, but when this one came, we didn't quite know what to do with it. So I mean, we're quite happy that we had qualified. What do we do next? I spoke with a friend of mine. Her name is Sydney Levine. She's the founder of Without a Box, which she later sold to IMDb, one of the founders of Without a Box. So she said to me, she saw the film. I said, this is really good, Victor. Why don't you get strategists? I mean, I've always assumed that I know enough, but you know, it was like, okay, so he said, I'm going to suggest an Oscar Shorts strategist for you. She gave us a name. We started talking. In fact, since Funa was over, I handed over everything to her. You deal with it. And then that is when it suddenly occurred to us that we had done every other thing, but we didn't have a budget for that, the lobbying and the publicity. You know, and this is a profession. What these people do is, you know, they know the media. They can create enough buzz around it. They talk to their friends. Like Omotola said, they are the ones that will make you watch it. They say, have you seen? These are friends. You know what I mean? They draw your attention, so they make you watch it. And so it gives you an opportunity. And then the bigger or more experienced the strategist is, the better your chances. So that taught me a lesson. No matter what you do, if you want to go to the Oscars, then be very intentional. Create a special budget for that. You have to. The one that qualified from Nigeria, I mean, I think it was the same issue. They didn't know who to talk to. They didn't have the money to push it. So it may be damn good, but you know, like what they say about doing business without advertising, it's like winking at a girl in the dark. You know what you're doing, but she doesn't. Nobody else does. You know what I mean? So you've got to be intentional. It's very, very important. It's not something you compromise. And if you find yourself in that space, then you have to find the money. It's so important. So that taught me a big lesson. Even if you don't think you're going to get there, believe, because anything can happen. You don't know what it is in your movie that can just... Now, this didn't go through this other route, but I'm just saying that, you know, there are so many that went through. It was for Oscar Shorts, you know, so it can come from any part. And when that happens, you have to be prepared. Our governments have to take an interest. And this is not the time to say it's from this state or this language or that language, which is a big problem we have in this country. Let me not say in this part of the world. Tutsi was not an accident. South African government was very, very intentional. They knew what they wanted to do years ahead. They went ahead and they did it, and they followed through. I mean, like, don't just let the South Africans come after you. You know, if they want to do something, they do it. That's the one thing. Nigerians are like that, but our government is not like that, unfortunately. And maybe that's the one thing that we have to learn at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Victor. Which brings me to the next question. How do we sell this to the Nigerian government? How do we get them on board? How do we get them to want to push, like they push sports, Olympics, like you said, football, how the Nigerian government is pushing all of that? Why aren't they doing the same with film?
I think it's better than what it used to be. I think this, I mean, a round of applause for Afrif. No, you know, not taking it not trying to be patronizing or anything, but to sustain this for 10 years and to make it continental. And I said round of applause because you can see the intentionality, you can see the level of programming, you can see the conversations that are being had. We need to have things like this, but not just only Afrif. We need to have almost like a festival circuit in Nigeria, where we also get the guilds and associations involved, and I'm happy that Dr. Victor is here. I'm happy, I've been saying it for some time now, I'm happy about the professionalization of our guilds and associations in the last 6 to 9 months. We also need to show a level of structure organically, that the government will begin to take us seriously. Before now, I have to, without trying to be controversial, some things have looked very political, have looked very opportunistic. They've not been as intentional. Nowadays, we're seeing a lot more professionalism. We need to, like I said, a great festival circuit where, even in terms of the dating of our festivals, it's well spread out. There is something about festivals that takes the diversity of Nigeria in cognizance and the filmmaking across, rather than the festivals being competing with each other. We need to have that kind of festival circuit. We need to be professional with our guilds and associations. We need to formalize those structures, then come together and then have a plan and engage, government. I mean, government can have all their ills and all their, disadvantages, but I struggle to see a government that sees a very structured, private sector like that with the opportunity. And let's be honest, Nigeria has that realistic chance. Our films travel better than, with all due respect to South African films, the films travel better. The commercial points tell us that. In terms of the creativity, whether it's our art or our literature or our music, it shows that there is something we can do that is global, right? So if we formalize that in the motion picture sector, there is bound to be dividends. So I think we're on the right track. I just feel like we need to accelerate it. I feel like even in accelerated, we shouldn't put ourselves under any undue pressure, right? It's great to win the Oscars. It's nice, but let's also do things right. We have this thing of always wanting to be, the mainstay and always want to be Nigeria, they carry us, great. But let's build it. Let's build it properly, and so that it's sustainable, and so that every year we have a chance of, popping the right films. That's my take.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I wanted us to talk a bit about the tech specs. Is it possible to just dive a little into that so that filmmakers here can have an idea of what that's like? Technical specifications, that's what I mean.
Okay, we have a number of technical specification, and it's like 7 pages, and it's basic, 4K, 5.1, closed captioning, subtitling, which is DCPs, and then you have your artworks, your stills, your promo pictures, and everything. So it's for proper filmmaking. First of all, you have to pass quality control. So if you can pass quality control in the first phase, you have passed the first phase of passing the tech spec of Oscars. Then they have little specs that they always ask for that you can tweak if you pass that first phase. Discussing that will kind of bore you guys because it's something that happens with post-production and it's a lot of work. So I don't think you want to dive into those details. It's a lot. Like I have to start speaking all the 2.0 stereo, 5.1.7, all those tech English, and that will take a lot of time. So, but it's online. It's on our website. It's on the Oscars website. It's there. Just make sure you just pass your quality control, international quality control, and then you're good to go.
Thank you very much, Chineze. Mr. Victor, do you want to add something to that?
Can I also add something?
Yes.
It's very, very important, which I think most filmmakers, when it comes to the foreign language, like you are aware that it has to be 50%, more than 50% in foreign language or pidgin. I want to be very specific when it comes to the way they measure their foreign language at the Oscars. They literally put up a timer and day time. Like when somebody speaks, they pause their timer. When you speak English, they stop it. When you speak language, they put it on. So so when you're calculating your film or you're watching your film, you have to work with a timer. A stopwatch, very, very important. And then you make sure that the entire dialogue in the film is more than 50% foreign language or pidgin. And just to avoid all that controversy, I advise that we, use proper pidgin, like, the deep, wafi or something, the strong one, not the Ajabota type, if I may see. Because there's this little, something we're still discussing, the committee is still discussing with the academy, like, because they say that the pidgin language should not have English words. And we all know that, pidgin have English words, so it's kind of confusing. So I think the only way we can get around it is maybe do the main, the original pidgin. So it's kind of confusing, and then they don't understand it because it's still a fight. We're going to get there. We're still writing. We're still trying to educate them on what pidgin language is, and hopefully they'll get to give us some kind of allowance.
Thank you so much.
Safer with your foreign.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Victor, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just to say two things. Let me say so before I forget it and then say what I wanted to say. When I say, guy, why the yarn of pata now? We won't go hear that one at all. Have you done it so? Eh? But when you say, you know how it is when you want to begin to funkify English because you're an actor, you want to look good on this, you don't go make them. Eh? Have you heard what you have been talk? Again, we go back. I'm not sure say what I talk at all. Eh? So anyway, just to add to what my chair has said, this is not difficult. Get the right team to work with and let your intentions be known. If you just go and you shoot with just anybody, you have to work with a crew that has worked on, very high-end jobs. Get the very best. You can't go wrong with it. Okay? And like I said, get a copy of this so that you're very intentional from the beginning. I call it the Bible. When you look at it every step of the way. Why do I say so? We're not talking about Netflix here, but it has its own tech specs. Right down to what kind of camera you should shoot with, although that is for Netflix originals. So each organization may have its own. The Oscar rule is the Oscar rule. You cannot bend it or change it. And again, you begin to fail when you think you know too much. Many of those who have submitted, I don't know if any of them is in this room right now. Any of the people who have submitted to us before. And I can assure you that a few of them are aware. But perhaps, I don't know, maybe they're busy. Let me not say they're too big to come here. But for the rest of you that are here, I would say congratulations in advance. I hope you remember this and what the chair has said. Always keep the Bible by your side before you start, while you're shooting, and after you shoot, and you can't go wrong.
He means the tech spec Bible.
No, everything. Rule 13. Rule 13, the tech specs Bible, and then look at the rules for submission. It's very important.
I just wanted to add, without trying to rehash what we know, you're a filmmaker, just my own little understanding about the importance of the pre-production phase. I think we've talked about, great team, but that pre-production phase is so critical. There's no gainsaying, particularly in our terrain, where a lot of it is going to be location-based and a lot of factors are not in your control. How you ensure everything is logistically planned, and you don't shoot a great premise and a great story, but then struggle on the post-production side, so it's like I'm beginning to see the value a lot of, so like we talked about from the beginning, intentionality. If you're going to do this, you have to do this right. And like I said, for our terrain, that pre-production phase could not be, understated or overstated. It's really critical.
Thank you so much. So we're going to open the floor right now for questions. Does anybody have questions? Okay. Please go ahead.
should be another one.
Chineze, we can't hear you. No.
Hello?
Okay, yes, we can hear you now.
I said, if you go back and you research of the films that have been nominated or have won the IFF, the Best Foreign Language IFF category in the past, check 10 years down the line, or you will notice that it's very simple. The stories are just very simple, not too complicated, not too big, just very simple story. Character-driven, great story. The theme surrounding a very social theme and stuff. So I think if you want to shoot, go and watch all the films dated up to 1980, and that will guide you and help you. That's just what I want to say. Because you will notice that there's some similarities, and there's something that you notice that it always, there's this trick, there's this rule, Bible, ABC, that they always follow, and it works for them.
Thank you so much. That's great advice. All right, please go ahead.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Femi Gambo. I'm director in Hollywood. So I have, thank you. Yeah. So I have two questions. One is for Mr. Moses, and the second one is for Mrs. Chineze. I know we've been having conversations about government being involved in backing the Oscar race, but I was asking because Moses I know he definitely understands the figures, like vis-a-vis, like for example, using music industry as a case study, them be able to bring on the Grammy without the government involvement. When you factor in the cost of production for an Oscar-worthy film, vis-a-vis like what you use for marketing, campaigning, and lobbying, is there a possible business case that can be made to the private sector to be able to invest and say, okay, we want to do it as a private equity firm, we want to invest in this for this, and is there a good ROI for them in terms of when the movie gets nominated? Does it have any returns for the investors? Then the second question is for Mrs. Chineze, the chair of the Nigerian Selection Committee. I noticed that I think from 2019 there was quite some update on the website about Lionheart, but it didn't state, for example, the reason why it was disqualified. It just stated the status. And I think I'm just hearing from the affiliator that there were 4 films submitted. Is it possible that we have this data so that we know why, so future submissions we can prevent those loopholes that allowed us to be disqualified or not qualify for those submissions earlier? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Finney. I would say it's a delicate one because we've not seen an Oscar winner from here to be sure that there's a return on investment. But look, by the mere fact that it's an Oscar even nomination, it makes the short list. That's a victory. Depends on how you want to qualify victory. Money returns, or the fact that the industry gets exposure, the filmmakers there get exposure, the production companies that have worked on it get exposure. From my knowledge and experience in the film business, there is no way an Oscar winner would not access some level of global distribution that comes at a certain, premium quotient compared to the multitude of films that would have tried to access it. There's a reason why the Academy is the Academy. There's a reason why it's that prestigious. There's a reason why when you see Academy films, when they win, they have second or third runs, and they are as strong as even when they came out. So I think that there is something there for the private sector to look at. Thankfully, when at a great time where our content making is there's a spotlight, and I think that's a challenge you've thrown on, for us to look at, can there be a private sector driven, approach to this, and how intentional can we be, at what cost? I think the great thing for our industry is we're quite prolific at cost-effective, budgets. I'm worried about, how we're going to contain that in the streaming age, because I'm not saying by no means that we shouldn't spend big budgets, but what makes us very attractive is also nimble budgets, right? So if you're able to do that, cost effectively and end up winning the Oscars, then I think there's a commercial proposition there, for sure. So it's something we need to definitely think about and look at and see whether we'll get the right kind of partners, you know, to come in and do that. For us as a company, something that we're looking at, but we're also trying to survive first. My brother is here, so I've looked at this face, I just held down Ernest here, so yeah, thanks. Did I make some sense?
And what was the question for Chineze? I don't know if they are frozen.
Updating the website.
2019, the major reason why we were disqualified was because of language, where the English was more than the foreign language spoken. That was all over the news. Then this year, one of the films got disqualified by the NYC because they went straight to the streamers before the theater. And the rule for this year states that you must go, or the rule states that you must stream in the cinemas before you go to the to Netflix or Amazon. But this film went straight to the streamers instead of going to the cinema route. Another one had a dialogue problem, language problem. It was like, I think 15% foreign language. And one of the films had like 3 short films in one. Like they picked like 3 short films and they put it in one, and they called it a feature. So it didn't work, and that would have, this as well. So one thing I think that's very key, which also happened last year as well, is the ability to time. I have to show you. You see this stopwatch? When they speak, how you doing now? Should be day fine. Okay, how you doing? You pause. Simple, that's English. So you have to really calculate it, because the academy, they have people, over 200 people sitting down, pressing a stopwatch and calculating your film. Very important. Please take note of that.
Wow, thank you so much. Does anybody else have a question?
So, is it safe to also assume that once the NOC has even done their work, there's another layer of checks to ensure that the NOC's work is, confirms, the rules,
That's
right?
Can I answer that, please?
Say?
Oh yes, there are many layers of checks. So when I just joined the NOSC this year, and I thought they've been doing a fabulous job, because it's very, very difficult what they do. Very, very difficult. When it leaves each country, because like I said earlier, whatever film comes out from a country is your own representation. They're not sending. When you now send that to them, then they have to. So in voting, in our own voting job, we have 2 times we vote. The first vote is the first ones that come, so that your movie even scaled through your country's selection committee doesn't mean that it will scale through the first selection with the voters. They give us rules. They give us things that we're supposed to look out for, and even the voters themselves are scared, because they watch your track record. They see the kind of, so for example, if you are there now, every time you are voting for Nigeria, you are voting for Africa, it's not, they are not seeing you. And there are times when they question you, why did you vote for this, whatever? Because it's so funny, because they give you, they confuse us too. They don't just give you, and don't forget, they are not only voting for international movies, you're voting for the whole of Oscars. So there is like a game of, it's like Squid Game. They're putting you there just it's almost like they're trying to check your IQ, and they're trying to see the kind of direction you go and why. So they ask you all these questions. So the first filtration and all of that stuff, then they ask you very intentional questions while you are voting. Why do you vote this, and you have all these lists, you vote that. They are checking why. And so you too, you have all these movies, you have this pool of movies that were sent to you. It will be senseless for you to know the rules and pick this movie over that. After that selection, it goes and then they shortlist, and then they send it. So you can imagine when you picked a movie, or you have to pick 2 movies, then, or two or three, I think the first, I'm not sure, 2 or 3. And then the first selection goes. Imagine how silly you feel when they now send the next ones, and then the ones you picked before did not make it. So what that means in essence is that your voting capacity, actually in the first round, was not up to par. That's what it means.
And I'm sure somebody is taking note of that. So naturally, even as voters, you want to make sure that when you're picking a movie even from the first voting pool, that you understand the rules, you understand what they are looking for, because after all, you're representing the Oscars. The Oscars themselves is the academy, and you are the academy, you are the one picking for them. So they want to make sure that you are representing them and that you understand what they stand for. So it is very, very important to understand that your country selection is actually just true. Is like in Nigeria now, the football, I use the football one because I think that's one that everybody in the streets understand. You send your national team out there. When they get out there, they will go through all their qualifiers and everything. So good luck to you, Nigeria, sense the worst. Good luck to you if, that's what you send to go and represent you. When they get to the first round or second round, whatever, they would remove them. And then they'll start taking notice of the fact that you're a weak team.
I'd like to also add something. This committee was approved by the Academy in 2012. And since 2012, we've been putting out, notice for people to submit, and then we realized that most of them did not pass the technical specifications, or then we're not ready. And then until 2019, I would like to state something, and I would like to use this opportunity to let people know that this is self-funded by the committee members. We come together, we put our money together, we do the publicity, we send the films that you submit to us to QC in Los Angeles, we pay for these things, and then we bring it back, we watch these films, and then we sit down and commit our time to discuss this film. Why are we disqualifying this film? The tech person, DJT, will come, after discussing with the QC in Los Angeles or in Germany. They will discuss everything. So we work hard. We spend our time. We have meetings. We discuss every film before we vote. So it's a lot of work. So that is why it's important. This year we decided to go and train people. So you don't just send us films to waste our time, because if we disqualify you, you have the right to ask us, why did you disqualify? They will give you our feedback and notes. And then we have to write the academy report, what happened, how many films we got, why was disqualified. It's a lot of work, and the committee, 13 of us, were spending time, energy, and personal finances. That is why Omotola said we need the government to back us up, because we are human beings. This is all about passion, building the industry. Look at Omotola, look at Moses, Mildred, Egoboyo, everybody, DJT. The last year when we submitted, DJT spent 4 nights uploading, because of the COVID, we couldn't send hard drive, uploading different files of Milkmaid, and then it will go up, and it will say, and then this little thing will just exit, kick, and like an alarm, not approved, and he will bring it down, and will fix. That is why, like Moses said, you have to do your post-production very well. So we don't have to go through this. This is filmmaking 101. If you want to play on the big leagues, be ready to spend and do the things the right way, so that when your film comes, you just know you're dealing with the story. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Next question. Please, where's our mic?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Henry Ruto. I'm a Nigerian-Canadian filmmaker. My question is, some people believe that part of the reason that Burna Boy won a Grammy was because Diddy came on board. Now, aside from the government involvement, that's the Nigerian government I'm talking about now, is it, will it be against the rules to involve like a foreign collaborator, like a Jay-Z or Oprah, if they like the story or the film?
Okay. Strategic partnership is very, very important. Lionheart, for instance, Netflix had an interest. You understand what I'm saying? And believe me, they would have gone all out if it had qualified. They would have gone all out. So strategic partnership is very important. But in terms of the actual shoot itself, there are strict rules. That's part of the thing you need to read there. The people, the crew members themselves have to either be resident in that country. The key crew members above the line have to, and even below the line, have to be from that country or resident in that country, largely. Okay, so I think it's important to to note that. But strategic partnership is very important. You may have them as executive producers. They may have put some money into it. And of course, where your money is, there your heart will be, naturally. Okay? Then let me be quick to add something to what my chair said, which is that it's important to note here, if any member of the committee has an interest in the film, they are disqualified from voting. I think it's important that you know that. It has happened. Any of our members who we see has any credit or any interest in any movie, that person is automatically disqualified from voting that particular year.
Thank you very much. We're going to take one more question because our time is almost up. The mic.
Hello. Okay. Good morning. My name is Francis Nebo. I'm the French co-producer of Juju Stories, made by the Nigerian collective Surreal 16, comprised of CJ Obasi, Abba Makama, and Michael Onwonua. I have a couple of questions, queries, and comments, but I will be brief. This movie has been touring the festival worldwide. It's been considered as a feature film. I think it is the first movie, Nigerian movie, who has been in official competition in an A-class film festival in Locarno. We've been touring since all over the places. Is that the movie that you were referring as a trilogy, Victor?
Yes.
Okay. So I have some more comment then. You don't consider an anthology film as a feature film? And if I'm not mistaken, Wild Tales from Argentina in 2014 has been an Oscar nominee, and it is a standalone, 6 standalone short stories. So I think they would have been a good way.
Let my chair answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I feel personally, and maybe I'm a Hebrew, I have a Nigerian heart, and I feel sad that you have not one movie being represented at the Oscar, because it will help raise the industry. It's still raising since I've been coming to your country. It's raising every year thanks to the people here on the stage and then the people who are organizing the festival. So going to the Oscar would be a plus for Nigeria, definitely. On top of it, you have 3 filmmakers giving 3 different sensibilities about urban legends in folk, Nigerian folklore. So I have two simple. Could you consider a catch-up review, or is it too late for the movie to go through for the Oscar? And if not, no Hala will come next year with stronger.
I like your spirit. I like your spirit. Let my chair respond.
Victor, could you rephrase what he's trying to say, because it was more for like, what does he want to know? Why the trilogy did not go through, or is that his question?
Yes.
Okay, Yvonne. Okay.
He said he gave an example of one from Brazil with six short stories, that made it to the Oscars, right? No, not Cannes. We're particular about Oscars. It represented the country at the Oscars? Argentina. Okay. So, and he's saying, is it too late to consider it? He has given us a precedence. How many minutes were each of those? 84 minutes for the 6. No. Because for us here, none of those films were up to 40 minutes.
No, it was. Let me correct it. It was up to 40 minutes. It was about 40, almost 50 minutes. But that is not just it. First of all, it's a trilogy. Fine. Does it qualify? Does it not qualify? That's another question for the committee in the academy to answer. What about the story? What about the technical specifications? Was it joint? What was the theme? Yes, somebody argued in the committee that the recurring theme was something, I can't call the name. They had one recurring theme. But that is one. What about the story? What about the sound? What about the production value? You might not submit your film and it might pass all the specs. If the story is not good enough, you can decide as a committee that, we don't want to submit this film. And let me just be very clear. We all have one vote. It's democracy. Once a film is put up, we vote. And if people say they don't want your film to go because they're giving their reasons, X, Y, and Z, then we can't submit it. It's a democracy. I only have one vote. Omatla has one vote. Moses has one vote. And it's the highest vote that we're going to follow. So regarding that trilogy, there were other things that some committee members discussed that they were uncomfortable with, apart from the fact that it's a trilogy. I know some of them mentioned other technical specs and their stories as well. So I don't think it's just because it was a trilogy. We had other things that we had to deal with. And also remember, I said earlier that we sent these films for QC to Los Angeles, and then it comes back with all the notes. And if it's fixable, fine. If it's not fixable, I'll let the committee know, and then they vote. Did I answer your question?
Okay, our time,
No issue.
But can I ask you a question? Has it won in any of the Oscar qualifying festivals? There are Oscar qualifying festivals. That's another route. No, not to get into Locarno. Did it win? Because that's another route. If it wins, I gave you an example of my own short film. It won at an Oscar qualifying festival. That automatically qualifies it for the Oscars. It would have met with all the requirements. And like my chair said, really at the end of the day, it's up to the members to vote. So, but I like your spirit. Sorry, I was just saying something. I hope you don't mind, Chinese. You know, I like your spirit. I like your spirit. For me, you're a Nigerian at heart. You understand? And your spirit, you said, if it doesn't work this year, we're coming back next year, no wahala. And so, I personally can't wait to see what you're going to do, what you're going to bring back next year. We're here. I mean, we all want to win. We want the best. So I thank you very much. I think we are appreciative that you believe in this in this industry, and we see you as a strategic partner. Merci beaucoup.
Awesome. So we're going to wrap up. We're actually behind time. Any final remarks from any of our panels, or panelists, rather? Any final remarks?
Just again, thank you to everyone, and particularly the participants here. I think one key remark for me would be it's going to educate ourselves. It's going to just make sure we're in touch with best practices, in touch with what technology is saying, in touch with updates of the rules, engaging, try and know the NOC members. Nobody saying lobby, but in case you're not sure of some things, they might have answers to them or point you in the right direction. Please, education, education, education. The arrogance tends to be a bit, because we're creatives, we need to really get the chip off our shoulders and keep learning and learning, and also on learning the things that have not helped us, in the past. That would be my remark. And thank you for the great session.
Sure thing. Any final remarks from Omotola?
Thank you for a very wonderful session. I think mostly it would be, when you talk about all these things, it tends to, bother the mind, and you ask yourself, can I really achieve all of these things, and is it even worth it? I just want to encourage you that it is worth it. Like Moses said earlier, being an Oscar nominee alone is a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. There's a reason why everyone is fighting to get there. Everyone, including your James Cameron that has won it over and over. He's still trying to get that next one, so it keeps you, it solves 80%, I would say, of your problems as a filmmaker. Because you don't always have to introduce yourself anymore. People will seek you out. So it's very, very important. It's very, very needed for Nigeria, for Nollywood. So those of you that can do it, please be encouraged. Know that the reason why it sounds very difficult right now is because we're breaking it down and everything, but when you get the hang of it, it's not really that hard or difficult or such an uphill task. Just be intentional. And you can still be commercial, like Moses said. So don't feel like, this movie I'm making right now is only for the Oscars, or God, I might just lose money because it won't do anything else or whatever. It can go through everything, the commercial routes, the festival routes, and then the Oscars. Just be intentional and be smart about it, and it is worth it. So don't be afraid. Go into it intentionally, and you would go all the way. And I just want to encourage everybody. It's time. It's about time.
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for our amazing panelists, for their time, their skills, their brain power. Thank you so much. It's a wrap. The next session will be at 4 p.m.
Delphinator. Thank you so much.
Just so that you guys know.
Good afternoon. I celebrate you, sir. How are you, sir?
I know, I understand.
No problem. All right. Can you? Oh, they're up. Yeah, yeah. I might give my camera. Use this one. Wait. I bet before you go.
Back then when I wasn't you again, Charlie, you were trying to run on me. I've been going on my own. I've been doing things unknown. Said day one, you running right back. Say the drama, you running off track. It's a one life, you tell me one life. One time, you tell me one time. Open your eyes, baby. Can you be wise, cause I'm a bride, baby. I'm on the way, I'm on the run, baby. Leave me alone, take it back now. I put you on it. Say you want chance to what it on me. I feel now what it back. Turn you right around and take it my way. So tell me what you need from me now. I know what you need to be now, cause I'm done with it now. No more damages now. Say, tell me what you need from me now. I know what you need to be now, cause I'm done with it now. No more damages, no more damages. Back then when I was a baby girl, I was yours and you were my world. Tell me what you wanna do for me now. Take you down and I will hold you to run my race, cause you run it right there. Run my race, cause you take it right there. I've been down, I've been running right there. I've been out, cause you take it back there. Pull up tonight, I might be risky. But me stomach, forget the whiskey. But you still wanna get back with me. You tryna be the one and deal with. Don't got my phone, you're not a madman. You missed the way in not the one chance. I live my life, don't need you with me. Yeah. So tell me what you need from me now. I know what you need to be now, cause I'm done with it now. No more damages now. So tell me what you need from me now. You know what I need to be now, cause I'm done with it now. No more damages, no. So tell me what you need from me now. I know what you need to be now, cause I'm done with it now. No more damages now. I know what you need to be now, cause I'm done with it now. No more damages, no. No more damages. Yeah. Classic. Back then when I wasn't you again, Charlie, you were trying to run on me. I've been going on my own. I've been doing things unknown. Said day one, you running right back. Say the drama, you running off track. It's a one life, you tell me one life. One time, you tell me one time. Open your eyes, baby. Can you be wise, cause I'm a bride, baby. I'm on the way, I'm on the run, baby. Leave me alone, take it back now. I put you on it. Say you want chance to what it on me. I feel now what it back. Turn you right around and take it my way. So tell me what you need from me now. I know what you need to be now, cause I'm done with it now. No more damages now. Say, tell me what you need from me now. I know what you need to be now, cause I'm done with it now. No more damages, no. No more damages. Back then when I was a baby girl, I was yours and you were my world. Tell me what you wanna